come on in.
Looks like, hey Master, or looks like we're starting.
We're rolling. It's on. Okay. Can you see that?
Where's our ASL?
Sorry, why did I say so deletion?
No, put it down for me. Shannon's not here yet. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You can come around here. Thank you, everyone. Please appreciate you joining us here for a 3 o'clock press briefing regarding the winter storm, which of course is going to hit with a vengeance in just a few hours. I'm joined by our Commissioner of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, Dan Neverth, as well as our Deputy Commissioner for the Division of Highways in the Department of Public Works, Karen Hoke, and we're joined by Sergeant Slayer from the Erie County Sheriff's Office. They will be intimately involved with all of these divisions when we open up the Emergency Operations Center at 7 p.m. I have some really hot off-the-press information from the Weather Service. It just came basically in the last 15 minutes, so this information is as updated as you're going to get. Once again, the National Weather Service describes this storm as extreme impact Erie County. Only seen this once before. That would be during the storm that actually hit 8 years to the day in 2014 with the storm that we all remember that brought 7 to 8 feet of snow to various parts of Erie County. This is the latest from the Weather Service. This is the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. forecast. It is expected that parts of Erie County near the downtown core will receive potentially up to 2 feet in 12 hours, as was reported by the National Weather Service. Snowfall rates will not only exceed 3 inches per hour, but could be 4 or 5 inches per hour during the initial hit. So during that, which is expected to hit the Buffalo, Erie County area around 9 p.m. So snow may start falling in our region after 7, but it is around 9 p.m. when the initial snowfall rates of potentially up to 5 inches per hour will hit the area that on the map, as you can see, is really the downtown section of Buffalo in the red, areas heading east towards East Buffalo, town of Cheektowaga, Lancaster, and south of there, including Hamburg, the city of Lackawanna, the town of West Seneca. That is not to say that other areas of Erie County will not receive snow. They will. They just will not be receiving it at the same rate as the central portion of Erie County will, including what is downtown Buffalo, where we are right now. But we will be seeing a significant snowfall, and in the 12-hour period from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., it is possible that up to 2 feet of snow will fall in the main zone, while other areas could receive as little as 6 inches. But that's still normally a lot of snow. But for our region, all of Erie County is going to get a significant amount of snowfall. And then tomorrow excuse me, I may have the wrong date. This is from not Saturday 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. This will be Friday 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Another 12 to 18 inches of snow is expected to fall. Snowfall rates will be 1 to 3 inches per hour through Friday evening, and it's the same band. When you include the totals of winter storm totals from 7 p.m. tonight through 7 p.m. on Saturday or 1 p.m. on Sunday, more than 4 feet of snow is possible in the Metro Buffalo region. I point to the map because you see that the graph from the National Weather Service has gone up even more than before. They have a lighter purple color from 48 inches to 60 inches, and then they have a darker purple color from 60 to 72 inches. And if you look at the map, you will note that that area that is the main zone is in that lighter purple, which means they are expecting potentially more than 4 feet of snow between tonight and early Sunday morning, and maybe even up to 5 feet of snow. And the rest of the county is still getting hit hard. The ski country will still probably receive up to 18 inches of snow. The rest of Erie County could receive 3 to 4 feet of snow. So this is a major event that's going to affect a significant portion of Erie County. One of the things that happened 8 years ago is it did not affect all of Erie County. There were parts of Erie County where there were no snow. This one is going to affect all of Erie County, but the main section of it is going to be in the Metro Buffalo region with potentially, based on those numbers, maybe even up to 5 feet of snow between 7 p.m. tonight to 7 a.m. on Sunday, with the vast majority of that falling between 9 p.m. tonight and 7 p.m. on Saturday. So that's a lot of snow to fall basically in a 2-day period. Our Department of Public Works trucks are on the roads. We have trucks still plowing snow in the southern part of Erie County right now with our highway district in Concord and our highway district in Hamburg. We did see snow in parts of Erie County in the overnight hours that we didn't expect. We thought it was all going to be around the Erie County line where Chautauqua and Cattaraugus County are. Instead, it drifted up. That's why it's very important that people understand that maybe your area isn't receiving the worst part of the snow at any one point, but it could switch. The winds can switch. So areas like the town of Hamburg, the town of Orchard Park, Aurora, all received 5 to 7 inches of snow. Town of Holland got, I think, 10 inches of snow. We weren't expecting necessarily that much snow there, but we cleared it. So the snow plows are still on the road in southern Erie County plowing. They are on the northern parts of Erie County now, salting and doing what we can to pre-treat the roads. But when you have this much snow that's going to fall at this fast a rate, it's doubtful that the pre-treating of the roads will keep it from being snow covered for that long. We do have a full complement of staff. We feel comfortable that we will be able to fulfill all of our plow duty. Remember, Erie County has 5 highway districts. There's 1,200 centerline miles of roads that Erie County government handles. This does not include the city of Buffalo. The vast majority of the city of Lackawanna or the city of Tonawanda, those are handled by the cities themselves. Erie County truthfully does not plow a single road in the city of Buffalo. We have been in contact with the city of Buffalo. They have received additional assistance from New York State, and if they do require additional assistance, they will contact us through our D-Land system, which hooks in directly to New York State's New York Response system, so that we all know exactly what the requests are. So the lower part of the county, the colors you see in purple and green and that kind of salmon color, they're actually seeing some snow right now. We haven't seen it yet in the northern part of the county, but it's coming. I'll turn it over to our Deputy Commissioner of Public Works for the Highway Division, Karen Hoke, to talk a little bit more about what they're doing, and then we'll turn it over to our Commissioner of Emergency Services when I talk about the Emergency Operations Center. So,
Thank you. Our fleets are ready to go. We have our staff ready for 24-hour coverage. However, our biggest concern at this time is the snow rate at the way it's going to fall. When we're looking at 1 to 2 inches, that's usually what we can navigate in managing some of our beats. When we're looking at over 4 inches coming down per hour, that can present some significant challenges. So we are ready to go. We have staffed ready to cover this weather that we're planning, but we're just encouraging everybody to be mindful of the travel advisories, stay home if you can. Also, give our plows room to work, stay back the 200 feet so that they can do the work that they need to do to get the roads cleared. Thank you.
thank you, Karen. Our Emergency Operations Center will open at 7 p.m. tonight. This is a picture from a couple hours ago. It's set, it's ready. It is staffed by the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. This is the building where we have the Fire Training Academy as well. It will open at a level 2 activation, which means that all hands are on deck, but we don't have the level 3 is the worst situation, but we are ready to go starting at 1900 hours tonight, 7 p.m. I'll turn it over to our Commissioner of Homeland Security and Emergency Services to talk about what will happen there for those who aren't familiar, but also what they are doing to prepare for this incident.
Thanks, Mark. Just a quick little overview of the Emergency Operations Center and what we do out there. We're kind of like the traffic manager for this particular incident as it relates to connecting with the state as well as connecting with our partners in the towns, villages, and even the city of Buffalo. So we're the conduit to not only work with our partners within county government, highway, to make sure that they're getting the resources that they need or assistance wherever, but also working with the first response community. I want everybody to keep in mind, our biggest enemy here for the next 48 to 72 hours is a lack of common sense. We know this is coming. We know we're going to get a lot. Even if we don't get as much as we're supposed to get, it's wintertime, and we just need people to take take note of what's coming, use common sense, let our first responders, including all of the plow operators and those people that are going to be out there for the next 72 hours, that they can do their jobs and we'll get things back to normal as quickly as possible. But our role with the Emergency Operations Center is to, if a community needs some extra assistance, or if the state is providing that, or the state has additional questions as well, to be that one-stop shopping to be able to connect those dots. So we're ready to go, but again, please, let's just use some common sense here and take a look at the map, or, I don't really think you can reinforce much more than the amount of snow we're getting to say this is going to be a critical time. And the easier that it is for the county and the municipalities to get out there and do the road cleaning, and for first responders to be able to do what they need to do without the additional burden of going after people that are stranded. So common sense, that's my word for the day.
Thank you, Dan. And I want to thank, we're joined by Shannon Patterson from Deaf Access Services. Sorry for the delay. As you can imagine, they're running around with a lot of different events going on, so thank you for being here. Erie County offices are closed tomorrow. Only essential workers should report to work. As I've said before, if you don't know what your employee status, you are non-essential, because essential workers know their responsibility in these times. It's law enforcement, it's emergency services, it's public works, it's those that are needed to ensure the continuity of government. All other employees in county government should follow work-from-home protocol that we have established. Commercial vehicle road closures is at 4 p.m. today. This means, of course, tractor trailers are prohibited from driving on the New York State Thruway, Interstate 90, from the Pennsylvania line to exit 46, which is the 390, the 190, which is the Niagara Thruway, from Route 62 to I-90, the Thruway. That's basically the entire length of the Niagara Thruway. The full length of the 290, the full length of the 990, Route 33, the full length, Route 219, from Route 39 to I-90, Route 400, the full length of Route 400, and Route 5, the Buffalo Skyway, will be closed for commercial vehicles from Tiff Street to the end of the Skyway in downtown Buffalo. Regular vehicles can drive on these roads. As we've seen in past snowstorms, it's possible and probably probable that these roads will be closed to all vehicular traffic, depending on the conditions. And I'm going to say right now, because I've had some people ask, why has not a driving ban not been put in place? Well, first off, it's too early to put a driving ban in place. We are considering putting a driving ban for the affected areas of Erie County later tonight. We will announce it later tonight if it's to come. At that point, I'd have to declare a state of emergency. We cannot put a driving ban in place until we have a state of emergency, and then we'd identify where the driving ban is. I do not anticipate, if we implement the driving ban, it will be all of Erie County, because there are some parts of Erie County that will not be receiving as much snow as we're seeing in the downtown Buffalo and metro region. I would say stay tuned. People who are working second shift, we want them to be able to get home from second shift, but considering it's expected that heavy snow is to come in our region at 9 p.m., we expect a decision on a state of emergency and a driving ban for tomorrow to be made by 11 o'clock tonight. So we will let all media know our decision with regards to a driving ban for tomorrow as of 11 p.m. tonight. And that also gets to the recommendation for private businesses for Friday. The current forecast holds, which we're expecting it to. We highly recommend that private businesses close on Friday. If a driving ban's in place, you're not going to be able to get your workers to and from anyway. But we think it's better if you just announce to your employees today that you're closed tomorrow, to save the possibility and the issues of employees going to work thinking they have to go, even if a driving ban is in place. Schools, we made a recommendation yesterday that most schools should consider closing, and as you've seen, almost all schools in Erie County have announced the closure for tomorrow, as well as after-school activities for today. I would recommend you check with your school district for related information, especially on after-school programming for today and classes for tomorrow. There may be some classes in the southern part of Erie County, some school districts that are open. Check with your school district to find out, but as it appears right now, almost, I think, every school district, including the City of Buffalo School District in the northern part of Erie County, has already announced that they will be closed tomorrow. Happy anniversary. Today is 8 years since Winter Storm Knife, this November. It really is something that these storms are hitting on exactly the same day. I don't know what it is about November 17th, but I will say this, back then, Lake Erie had very warm temperatures, about 50 degrees. The Lake Erie temperature right now is about 50 degrees. And it is that additional moisture that this storm that's coming in from the west will be picking up that we will see the dumping of a lot of snow. Now, I don't expect the gradient to be exactly like it was 8 years ago, in which you could be just outside of the snowstorm in sunshine. And if you remember correctly, last time there were golf courses that were open in Erie County, in the southern part of Erie County and the northern part of Erie County on November 18th, while it was snowing cats and dogs and everything else in the center part of Erie County. I don't think that'll be the same because this storm appears to be much wider. First off, it was a 10-mile wide snow band 8 years ago. The Weather Service says the main band will be at least 20 miles wide, and there will be extending out further, and that's why we'll be seeing a significant snowfall for all of Erie County. But it is pretty ironic that it's falling on exactly the same day, just 8 years later. As has been reiterated by so many people over the last 24 hours, the best thing you can do to help us deal with this weather and get through this storm is stay home. You are an obstacle to our plow trucks when you're on the road. And when you get on the road and you get stuck, our plows can't get past you. That's what happened 8 years ago. Commercial vehicles tried to avoid the closure of the thruway, and they went on suburban arterials and roads in the city of Buffalo. They got stuck. Cars got stuck. And no matter how good a plow driver is driving a giant multi-ton vehicle, if they've got cars in front of them that are stuck, they can't go anywhere. And then the snow piles up. And when we're talking about rates as much as what we're going to see over the next 36 hours, we need our roads to be clear of vehicles so that our plow drivers can get to work and clean the roads. This is going to be a multi-day event. If the roads are not, if our plows cannot get down there, the snow will pile up. At that point, we can't push it with a plow. The only thing we can do is come in with high lifts and pick it up and put it in trucks. And that means what could be a 2 or 3 day event at most could be a 5 or 6 day event because there's no way to get that much snow and push it out. So everyone, once considering they're saying that the heavy stuff's going to start around 9 p.m., please be off the roads by 9 p.m. You don't want to be out there when 5 inches of snow per hour is coming down. Those are whiteout conditions. The winds will be blowing, especially around Lake Erie, at 35 miles per hour. Could be blizzard-like conditions with whiteouts. Please stay home. The only people who should be on the roads after 8 o'clock tonight are those that are public works, our law enforcement, and emergency responders. There's no reason for anyone else to be out there. And we will, as I said, announce later tonight whether a driving ban will be put in effect for tomorrow. When I say tomorrow, I'm really talking around midnight. We want to be able to give those that are working second shift, 3 to 11, an opportunity to get home, even though they should know that if they can go home sooner, that's better off to go home sooner. With that, we'll open it up to any questions.
Mark, I probably should have asked the governor this earlier, but it's a big shopping week. Thanksgiving, Black Friday. Are you worried about any supply chain issues in Erie County with the commercial driving ban right now?
The question is, am I worried about supply chain issues with the commercial driving ban as it pertains to the upcoming week with Thanksgiving and Black Friday? If it goes as I hope it'll go, that this is like a 2 or 3 day event at most, then I'm not worried about it in the long run. If this is to continue for an extended period because we can't get to the roads because they're blocked, then I'd be concerned. I do know we've been in contact with various grocers. I know Tops is anticipating being able to still deliver through their trucks during the heart of the storm to local stores in case food runs out. I think Wegmans is the same way. There's going to be a commercial ban on trucks, so they're going to have a tough time getting around. They are considered essential, but just remember, one of those trucks, any truck can block a road, and then there's nothing you can do. That's exactly what happened 8 years ago. I remember when we got the Air One video of some of the major routes that just showed truck after truck stuck because one truck got stuck, and then the plows got stuck, of how bad it became then. We're just asking everyone to stay off the roads. If there are problems in the supply chain. Considering this is not supposed to be a 4 or 5 day storm, I think we'll be able to get through it in just a couple days and move on. If it goes on longer, our number one responsibility is the protection of human life, is to get those streets open, to get people who are at risk of injury or illness to a hospital or other facility, and we'll worry about supply chain issues if we have to later. Marley?
One of the concerns that
I'll go to you next,
people
Ron.
are having is the potential of a Bills game here and the fact that it could take away needed resources to clear the area near the stadium when those snowplows or trucks should be deployed to other areas. Do you have a similar concern?
I will say, I'll just leave it at this. I think that's going to be resolved fairly soon. A decision should be forthcoming from the Bills and the NFL as to the status of this football game, but I'll leave it up to them to announce it. Ron?
Commissioner Holt, maybe if you could just talk a little bit, as the county executive said here now, 4 to 5 inches per hour. How does that impact with plow crews? Would you have to at some point maybe pull them off the roads if it gets too high?
That would depend on the visibility, but in Erie County and across municipalities, some of the plow beats can take between 4 and 8 hours to accomplish. Ours are usually between 4 and 6. Some municipalities have them between 8. So in doing the math, you might have somebody finishing their beat, coming back to it, and already seeing another foot of snow, which can add to some more complications. But as far as, pulling plows off the road, that'll really depend on the conditions and the visibility and what they're able to accomplish.
Did that happen in 14, do you know, or I don't know if you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
it did. There were times in which we had to pull the plows off the roads because they couldn't see. That's why I tell folks, if you're in one of those multi-ton vehicles and you have to leave the road because it's too dangerous, what do you think someone in a normal vehicle's in? I mean, they're putting themselves at risk. But yes, it did happen in 2014 when it got to 5 inches of snow per hour, which it did happen, especially during the first day of that storm. It was a decision that was made because the drivers were saying, I have no idea where I'm going. And so we just told them, get to the closest place that you can where you know you're in a parking lot or something, and because the number one responsibility is your safety. And we don't want to hear of any accidents. And there have been times in the past when a plow has driven off the road into a ditch just because they couldn't see where they were going. And then that plow is at risk for being hit by other vehicles as well as having potentially be rescued. So it's a possibility, and if it gets to that point, we always will put the safety and the lives of our staff be ahead of clearing a road, because if it's too dangerous for them to plow, we will tell them, park that plow. Yes.
In terms of people who are planning to stay home, I imagine that a lot of people are probably hearing this and like, oh, I gotta go to the store now. But, for people with chronic illnesses, disabilities, families, what are some things they should absolutely have at home for this storm? If they're running the store and trying to think of things, what are things people should have on hand?
The question is, what should people have on hand, especially those who have chronic disabilities or other illnesses? First off, prescriptions. The number one thing is prescriptions. We are always concerned in these types of storms about those that are on dialysis, who may need dialysis every day, because then they should be talking to their dialysis provider about what can be done now to ensure that they get dialysis on Friday and Saturday if we can't get out to them. There were situations last time we were taking people out by sled. The sheriff's office, they were basically climbing over snowbanks and taking people out on sleds that needed to because of health issues back in 2014. Of course, I'll turn it over to the commissioner to talk about what you should have in your house. We're worried about power outages. There are still trees that have leaves on them. Most of the trees have shed their leaves, but others have not. And it's not uncommon in a heavy wet snow for trees to take down power lines and then loss of power. So, Commissioner?
Yeah, honestly, I would defer to the individual. You know what your dietary and your medical needs are now. You just want to make sure that you have an appropriate supply. You want to make sure that you're capable of either taking care of yourself or having someone else who can assist you. In worst case scenario, there's also going to be other options to be able to do that, other notifications that can be made where we can, through the Emergency Operations Center or even through your local municipality, assist. We've done that many, many times before. So I would say, you as the individual should know what you need for 2 days or 3 days. We're not talking about 2 weeks. We're not talking about needing to evacuate because of flooding or something major. We're just talking about waiting things out for a couple of days. That's why everyone's contribution here to stay off of the roads, to use common sense, ultimately could save someone else's life. So that really needs to be the message beyond the message.
Mark?
Yeah, and I'll just add, it goes to the Public Works, working with the City of Buffalo Public Works State. We have a responsibility. We try to clear out and make sure the hospitals, the routes to the hospitals are open, because those are the most urgent potential need. If somebody's having a heart attack, and we assume that there will be unfortunately a few who are trying to shovel the snow who will have a heart attack, well, if we can get to them in time, we want to be able to get them to a hospital. So those roads are always kept open. But to each and every one of you who are out there wondering what you're going to do for the next 2 days, best thing to do is just sit back, read a good book, watch the reports, and just realize that this is Buffalo. We deal with this. We just don't always deal with it in these extremes. Though I'll have to admit, this is, I think as county executive, I don't know how many blizzards we've dealt with now. We've dealt with quite a few, and I can't remember any county administration having to deal with these many significant storms. We talk about the blizzard of '77. We talk about the storm in 2014. Now we're probably going to talk about the storm in 2022, and we'll be looking back on it, maybe not fondly, but we're looking back on it in the future. Ryan?
Mark, there's at least a cross-section of Western New York that seems to be taking umbrage with the tone of elected leaders' messaging, that they feel like they're being pre-scolded before the storm has even hit. What do you say to those people?
The question was, some people are taking umbrage to being scolded before the storm has even hit. Well, we're just using this. The messages we're saying are based on past experience. There are people who died in the 2014 storm who should not have died. They were warned, and they still went out and got in cars. I just would say to the folks, please follow us. We're not scolding you. We're just trying to protect the public. And we saw what happened in 2014. We saw that the vehicles on the roads got stuck, and there's a lot of those vehicles that should not have been on the roads. And that created much more problems. And then if our plows, if the state plows, city plows can't get down roads, then we can't do our work. We're not trying to scold anybody. We're just trying to warn. And I still think back to the 2014 storm, and there are a number of individuals who are no longer with us who should be, but because of whatever decision, they decided to venture out into the storm and didn't make it through it. And that's something I mean, for those families and others, we just feel bad about. Those individuals perished when they shouldn't have. So I'm just hoping to avoid that scenario here. The best type of storm that we could have would be one that's really bad for a couple of days, but there's no deaths. And I remember the first few blizzards that we dealt with, we didn't have any deaths. And we were like, yeah, we didn't have a death in a blizzard. And I'm trying to avoid that as best as possible. And if somebody thinks I'm scolding them like a school teacher, I'll live with that as long as we don't have any deaths.
Just to follow up on that, I mean, even though it's common sense, as you say, they're maybe taking their lives into their own hands by going out, could there be any teeth in that driving ban? I mean, could somebody be cited?
Yes. The question is, could there be any teeth in a driving ban? And the answer is yes. It's actually, I think, a Class B misdemeanor. And so you will be and can be ticketed, written up. I still remember back in 2014 when we had the driving ban on and we had the National Guard with M16s, and people were like, I got to go pick up my pizza. It's like, no, there's a driving ban. You do not enter this location. You can't go any further than another 150 yards. And they can be cited with a misdemeanor. Now, when people go out there and get stuck, they call 911 for help. And then it's the sheriff's office deputies. It's the volunteer fire and paid fire in the city of Buffalo and Lackawanna. They have to venture out to try to rescue these people. So not only is their life put at risk, but the lives of our first responders have been put at risk. And they'll go. They'll go to try to identify and find where these people are and rescue them. But it's unnecessary if we can just keep the people stay off the streets. And I'm all for, if a driving ban's putting in place and people are violating the driving ban, giving them that citation, that ticket, because they need, it's part of what we're doing to protect the public. This is all about protecting the public. It's not about making people's lives miserable. You had a question?
I understand the budget was increased this year to deal with storms like this. Considering this is probably the new normal, as you said, there are more and more blizzards closer and closer together. Is the budget going to have to continue to increase to accommodate all these storms?
The question is, will our budget have to increase with not only this year but going forward as a result of these storms? And yes, we have put more money into our various departments. We've increased staff in the Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of Public Works. I know the Sheriff's Office has had increased numbers, including what we're proposing for the road patrol next year, which are the officers who are going out in the field. It is something we've had to deal with. The one thing I do not want is Erie County to be accused of not having enough staff to respond to these situations. So when it comes to the Department of Public Works Highway Division, we will have staff on hand so that no one can say that we did not have enough people to man our vehicles and go out there during the storms and plow, but then we use those individuals during construction season, during road paving and other season. It may be the new normal that we deal with, especially as we're having climate change discussions. Buffalo and Erie County are talked about in the future as being a climate refuge. And we're seeing, I think, just the number of storms that we've had, especially strong lake effect storms. When you look back at the history prior to the 50, 60 years beforehand, we had lake effect storms, but nothing to the same degree that we've been having lately, where 3 to 5 inches of snow per hour was unheard of. Maybe one storm every decade or 2 decades. Now it seems to happen 3 or 4 times a year. And that's scary because these are these bad storms that can really, really affect us.
Mark, on that, when those storms are generational, a lot of times the administrations lose the lessons that happened from the last time because they weren't there. Does it help at least that 8 years ago you were in office, Mayor Brown was in office, Dan Everett was standing there at the Emergency Operations Center? Does it help prepare for this kind of storm when you've done it before?
The question was, having the institutional knowledge of having gone through these storms with others that are still in government, does it help with the preparation? Yes, it most definitely does. It makes a big difference having gone through it. You learn from the past. We all make mistakes. We all make decisions that we wish we could take back. And in this situation here, it's one of the reasons why we're making the warnings as much as we are now, because we know what happened in the past and we don't want to repeat that. Can we prevent that? It's in the public's hands. But you do learn, and hopefully, I don't know if you have anything else to add, is you just learn and hopefully you respond to it better. That's the goal.
And I would say as part of any, we do an after action. We take a look. So I mentioned it during the press conference the other day. When you see those gates that are on all of the major interstates, those started out as just a few here and there. Then we had an incident, we had a major storm, and we said, well, why don't we have them in more places? So, working with our partners and that institutional knowledge also goes a little bit beyond that. It's to be able to pick up a phone and talk to the captain of the state police, or to be able to make a call to the local municipality emergency managers, to have that built-in relationship. I mean, people come, they go, they retire, but it is absolutely critical that you have that. But from a reflective point of view, we always take a look at what could we do better. And sometimes we're actually rougher on ourselves. We don't give ourselves credit for the things that went well. We're more focused on the things that we need to improve. But yeah, it's a constant process. And as I said, it's done in July when it's 85 degrees outside. We're having these meetings and these discussions and working with the sheriff's office and close relationships with all of the departments within county government.
And just to finish on that, at 2 o'clock I had a conference call with local officials from the cities, the towns, and there's a lot of familiar faces on there that I've dealt with in previous storms. As we like to say, this isn't our first rodeo, but sometimes the bull is different than the one before. So you've got to be prepared for anything. And I think that's exactly what we're trying to do in this situation. Any more questions?
We talked a lot about winter storm nights today. Do you have a name for the storm?
Well, a couple of years, the question was, do we have a name for the storm? A couple of years ago, based on our then Deputy Commissioner of Highways, Charlie Sickler, he started naming storms based on local breweries' brews, which is very Buffalo, and it fits in also with the old Jimmy Griffin statement. So yes, we do have, and it is the name of the storm as it pertains for Erie County purposes is That IPA, which is brewed by Community Beer Works in the city of Buffalo. So we finished last year with our storms in the S. We decided to continue in the T, so we started with That IPA. And congratulations to our friends from Community Beer Works. You got a free plug. A couple more questions and then we'll end it up. Ryan?
Gig economy is kind of new from 8 years ago. With regards to Instacart, to Uber, what are the rules going to be for them? Obviously, the companies are probably going to offer them more money to go out and
The question was with gig economy and Instacart and Uber. I mean, they are not essential personnel. They will be ticketed. So just because someone wants to have a delivery from a pizzeria or one of our food grocery stores, that is not essential. So if it's a driving ban's in place, those individuals that are in those positions are only going to cause problems because they're going to be on the roads when they shouldn't be. And truthfully, you don't want to go out on the roads if it's snowing at 3 to 5 inches per hour. It's dangerous. Which also goes back to, no matter what, everyone should ensure that their vehicle has the emergency supply kit in it. But if it's a driving ban's put in place, everyone should be off the road except for law enforcement, first responders, our public works, and any others that are there for the continuity of government. Last question.
Based on everything you said today, it doesn't sound like it would be prudent to have the game on Sunday. Are you in close contact with the NFL? Because that would mean teams would have to travel in on Saturday. I mean, everything you said tonight, asking people to stay off the roads, it sounds like it would go against.
The question was, based on everything that we've heard, is it fair to say it wouldn't be prudent to have the football game on Sunday? Are we in contact with the NFL? I am personally in contact with the Buffalo Bills. Other members of our staff are in contact with the Buffalo Bills. We are giving them updates. They're giving us updates, and I do feel confident that you'll hear something from the NFL and the Bills soon about the game. All right, thanks, everyone. We'll be at the Emergency Operations Center. It'll be open, effective as of 7 p.m. today. Media, of course, is welcome to be there. We will have future media briefings at the Emergency Operations Center. We will be going to a skeletal staff at the Rath Building in the county complex in downtown Buffalo because we just need to have a few people here associated with ensuring the continuity of government, and the rest of our operations will be out of the Operations Center in Cheektowaga effective 7 p.m. Thanks. Be safe and well.
Streaming those updates?
Yes, we will be streaming. The question was, will we be streaming updates? Yes, we will be streaming updates. The Operations Center is open only to certain personnel, but regular members of the media, official members of the media are welcome. We have a special media room for them if you should go there. Thanks, everyone. Be safe and well, and truthfully, be safe.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Marley.